right, hello, welcome to the Artificially Intelligent Podcast, where a white, cracker-ass, hunky comedian in the Midwest, that's me, Nathan Timmel, speaks with his best African-American person of color friend, that's Barrett Antar Goodwin, a musician in Philadelphia. And then today we have a guest. It's going to get very confusing because we have another comedian and another Nathan. So Nathan Holtz is the guest, and I'm going to get up and close the door while everyone says hi, so that my wife's coughing does not keep coming through. She's got the vid. Actually, she tested negative, but she's got a respiratory infection. Introduce yourselves to one another.
I am also a cracker white ass honky in the Midwest, just so we're clear. So okay. Also named Nathan.
Right. It's going to make this very confusing.
Yeah. Just call me the good one.
Yes,
God damn it, Bear's laughing, which means I missed something funny.
No, he was just saying how honored he is to be here.
That is funny. Like, he's got a red backdrop, I've got a red shirt. Oh, it gets so funny.
And I got a black hoodie, right?
Yeah. There, now I can go as Ted Kaczynski for Halloween. So what Barrett and I have talked about a couple times, and I figured since you're a comedian, we'd talk about again, is personal bias. The way you take something that's personal to you, you get offended by it. But if you don't care about it, then it's okay. And what I mean by that is I posted a joke recently that was a two-parter. I posted it online. And the first part, I poked a little fun at Christianity. I called the Bible a book of fairy tales written by goat herders that didn't know where the sun went at night. And then
you poked a little fun at it.
Yeah. I pointed out an accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
So and then the second half, I described Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, as a bearded fella. And as of right now, I think there are over 300 comments on it. And I would say 97 to 98% are overwhelmingly positive. They love it. Fantastic. 3% are then negative. 90%, 97%, 98% of the negative comments say that you had me until you said bearded fella. That's racist, Islamophobic. You shouldn't say that. And then one tiny percent said, I didn't like goat herders. They didn't like the Bible comment. And so what I did was, I went back, everybody that commented that said that they literally said, you had me until you said bearded fella. Some people said you had me all the way up till bearded fella, and then that's racist. And what I pointed out was, I find it interesting that you were watching the video. When I poked fun at Christianity, that was a-okay. When I purposely described Richard Reed as a bearded fella so that people could draw their own conclusions and lean towards Islamophobia, but that's something they do on their own. Like, I did it on purpose to bait people, even though I was being specific. I said it generally to see where people, I thought it was funny that then they said, no, I'm okay with you poking fun at Christianity, but when you suggest that a terrorist might be Islamic, that's hateful. And when I pointed out that Richard Reed was a bomber, most of them went away and said, yeah, but still not all terrorists. Like, they had nowhere to go. And others suggested they knew exactly. One guy wrote, I actually took a screenshot of his thing. I want to read it. He came at me a couple times and he said, I was talking about Richard Reed. He goes, I know exactly what you were talking about. You were being whatever. So I looked up his profile, and his profile, his little tag literally says, I won't engage in negative comments. He came on my joke and started a fight, but his profile says it's not about negativity. Yeah. So that's the running discussion we've been having, is just people that they do these mental gymnastics to justify what they like and what they don't like. And I find that interesting. I find it sad. I find it human. We're all hypocrites, but what are your thoughts? Do you have any jokes that have had that happen, or any situations where someone has said, I really liked this about you, I really didn't like that? And I mean, or even in the same joke like mine.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I work at a guitar store. So that my day job, I work at a guitar store, right? You
have a sign up that says no stairway to heaven?
No. the modern day version of that is no more Avenged Sevenfold.
It's not Sweet Child of Mine anymore. I still hear that every time.
It's still Sweet Child of Mine.
I hear it so much in like guitar centers and stuff all day.
At the very least, I can distinguish that song from any other song, right? But any Avenged Sevenfold. If a kid walks in with a bad haircut and it goes straight to the Jackson 7 string, I know I have to put a time limit. I know I only have 20 minutes before I need a cigarette. I can, at least those kids are trying. The other kids are just chug. Anyway, sorry. However you feel about mental. I hope I didn't delete it.
I don't know what Avenged Sevenfold is, so I'm old.
In the city of evil.
It's one of those things. I've heard the name, but it's kind of like Justin Bieber. I know who he is, but actually, I the first time I did hear a Justin Bieber song, I don't want to say, but I just like, really, because like I had in my head that it was going to be bad, and then when I heard it, I'm like, okay, seriously, who the fuck listens to this?
Pretty good. It's good stuff.
Like, I remember when MMMBop was popular, and I had to give that at least a modicum of credit. I said, okay, I don't like this, but it's not for me, but I get that it's catchy. It's redundant. It's repetitive. I don't like it, but it is for 14-year-old girls. Have 14-year-old girls got stupider? That's what I thought when I heard Justin Bieber. Did you find the post you were looking for?
I did. So, I work at a guitar store, and this nice gentleman came in, and I spent an hour and a half with him selling him a acoustic amp and a microphone, right? And he came in, and he wanted a friend, and I guess I was it that day. And so we spent a long time working on this stuff, and he told me some of these. He writes comedy songs. After he found out I was a comedian, he writes comedy songs that are a little bit politically leaning. And so it was something along the lines of like Hillary Clinton isn't good at blowjobs, but it kind of dipped, like tiptoed around, like that kind of stuff. So this guy found out I was performing in his town. So he comes and sees me, and he wrote me a letter and sent it to my work at the guitar store.
He sent it to you or your boss?
He sent it to me. He addressed to Nathan Holtz at the guitar store. As to your performance, the good news, you have a great stage presence and a lot of confidence. You had a good start. The bad news, you drove into the ditch, or should I say the sewer, with the material that was something and with profane language. And there's no humor in infidelity, even hinting at it, only pain and loss. So I sometimes hit on an old woman in my act. Like I will like
a gilf. A grandma you'd like to fuck.
I'll wink at a very like a obviously attached older woman, usually up front. I'll wink and wiggle, and I'll say, "Oh, I'm going to take you home," stuff like that.
Oh, an audience member. I was thinking like in one of your jokes, you hit on a woman. You mean an audience member you fake flirt with? Okay.
Yeah, I flake yes, like in or even just occasionally I'll just do that when the mood strikes me. So I said something, she said something sassy, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to take you home," something like that. And so I avoid using the word bitch in my act. I don't like the word. And so, but I hint that I'm gonna say that, and then I say a bit rude. And so he's like, "It's how odd that you're squeamish about the B word, but had no problem shouting Jesus Christ in a bit." Right. So like, this guy is talking about blowjobs because it's political, it's fine. But because I took the Lord Jesus Christ in vain, he and several of his friends left the show.
Let's be honest here. Is it because it's political, it's fine, or is it because Hillary's a liberal Democrat bitch? And I don't like the word either. It's funny.
Yeah.
I worked with a guy who I worked with him 4 shows a weekend, 2 shows Friday, 2 shows Saturday. I'm not gonna give his name. And I after the first show, I was like, wow,
Put it
he
in the
calls,
chat.
what's that?
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, he refers to women as a bitch a lot. And so on the second show, I counted and I said, why do you always call women bitches? He's like, well, I don't really do that. I'm like, you do it at least 8 times in your set. You were on stage for 25 minutes and you said every joke where you mentioned a woman, you said, so the bitch, so this bitch, so I did. And he was like, no, I don't. I'm like, I just counted, and it was completely unconscious on his part, but I picked up on it immediately. Like every time there was a woman in his set, he referred to her as a bitch. But getting back to your guy, yeah, I would imagine that it's, I was using his mind that Hillary Clinton is a liberal, baby-eating Satanist. And so it's okay to make fun of her and talk about, why Bill wanted to fuck Monica.
Yeah.
Because Hillary is, chicken leg prude.
Yeah.
But you saying Jesus Christ.
And he doesn't swear in those.
Yeah, well.
And he doesn't swear. So that happened to me recently. But more specifically about like my personal kind, I got super mad at someone making fun of Steve Jobs. And I have like, I'm an Apple fan, but like I got so mad at, like, so what did he say? He said Steve Jobs was killed by his own arrogance. And I was like, so arrogance causes cancer? And then I just started yelling. And I got so mad. But if if you want to make fun of any other person, that like Elon Musk, fair game. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like whoever, just because I've had an iPhone since iPhone 4, I'm a fan. And I sold Max for a little bit. So it just got,
I gotta tell you, I've been struggling today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a Packer fan. Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback. And several weeks ago, a couple months at this point, he came out with his idiot stance on vaccinations. And I had to separate and go, okay, I can still like him as a quarterback. He's obviously an idiot when it comes to medicine. Fine. I didn't worship him in the first place. I still don't worship him. I still think he's a great quarterback, but I can separate. And then this morning I jump on Twitter and he's trending and I start to get a headache in my eye. I'm like, oh boy. And I click on it. Does anybody know what happened? So last night he does interviews in his house, kind of like we're doing with Zoom. And he had a bookshelf and he was asked about his bookshelf. And he very proudly pointed out Atlas Shrugged and how much that book meant to him. And I'm like, oh my God, no, like, how do I still now I have to like, okay, he's still a good quarterback and I still like watching him play. And he's obviously a dumb fuck, and so of course the entire Twitter thread was people pointing out that, oh, Aaron must still be 19 years old because that's when you read that shit and believe in it. And then you grow up and get over it and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I get it. It's hard to separate like the artist from the art too. Because anytime, right? Because Remix to Ignition, fucking.
But I guess the point I'm making is the guy walked out on your show. Is that an Avenged Sevenfold reference that I didn't get?
R. Kelly.
It's a black joke.
Oh,
is it?
No,
okay.
It's a joke that black people will get. That's what
I mean, I am wearing a Jordan hoodie, so I'm trying to represent.
No, because like you said it and I got it immediately. I was like, oh, that's fucking funny. I know what you mean. It's like,
here's the remix to Ignition, hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in here wishing.
Yeah, man, it's a good shit.
That's me looking over my head to see what I'm missing. No, but I guess where I was going is I can separate or understand that humans are complex, and Aaron Rodgers is sharp in one area and dull in others. And this guy walked out in your act. He couldn't separate. Because we live in a society where you have to be all in.
Yeah.
If you have nuance or if there's anything that doesn't match, you get cast out of the tribe. Yeah. And I have friends that like the Packers. They're like, fuck it, I don't like Aaron Rodgers anymore. I'm like, really? I mean, just because he's a dummy. I mean, did you expect a football player to be a doctor or a scientist? I mean, the thing that's amusing is he called himself a critical thinker. I'm like, are you though? But
You sound
how
like one of
often
the
so
elites.
that's one experience. I had an experience something similar where someone found out I was a comedian and then said, do you use vulgar language in your act? I said, sometimes. I try not to, but every so often they go, I don't go to shows if the comedian swears. And I said, oh, that's interesting. Why? They go, because I'm a Christian. And I said, okay, well, didn't God invent all language? And then nothing had nothing to say to me. Just like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just asking a question. I the
Oh,
word
there you
fuck is
go.
a word. Whatever you apply to it is what you apply to it.
Yeah,
Causing trouble, man. I mean, I will say, I feel like again, this stuff comes down to the fact that we just have no ability to see ourselves objectively. You know, like as humans, like our biggest flaw to me, why I think if there's a God that he slash she slash they, whatever, is
I love that.
right, is a sadistic comedian, like just give us all the potential in the world, but make our ego so fragile that it's comical.
Yeah.
Right, like all the mixtures of our psychology and biology, and how they can so easily be weaponized against us. Like like McDonald's preys on your caveman need for sugar and fat and these things, and that's why the shit tastes so good. So it's like, but nobody cares, and like all the left, the right, the this, that, everybody preys on our biological weaknesses and our mental weaknesses that are just innate, it seems, and that seems to be one of them. And because
Well, I think the other is not just that, but it's preying upon, and it's a sense of belonging. We all,
yes,
everybody,
yes,
you hear about famous celebrities that have everything. They say they feel alone. Everybody has something in them that feels alone. And so that's, I believe, why they latch onto these tribes and go
yeah,
full on team AOC or full on team Trump, or
yeah,
because that way, I mean, and we've talked about this on here. When I was a teenager and an angry teenager and alienated, as all teenagers are, I found a great home among heavy metal. I'd go to a Slayer concert and fit in, like thrash, and like, oh, these are my people, So I get, but you're supposed to grow out of it. Oh, and by the way, the mental gymnastics I did with Aaron Rodgers is, I would love it if he was trolling people, because that sounds like something I would do. Is like, oh, if I talk about the Fountainhead, that's the one I read, Atlas Shrugged, that'll set people off. That's something I would do. So that's my hope, is that he's just trolling people.
I he's turned himself into a heel, if in like wrestling terms.
Yeah.
Right. Like I don't follow football a whole lot, just in the regards of like fantasy football, because I'm in a group with like some college friends, and so, but lately he's just kind of been a heel, like the slicked black hair. He's being more vocal when he's mic'd up. Like what did he scream?
I own you. I always own you. I was always fucking own you, which was great.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great moment.
It's pretty, but it's a heel.
Yeah.
Right. That sounds like a speech you made right after you pinned the heavyweight champion after cheating. You know what I mean? Like it's pro wrestling is what it feels a lot like. And like his State Farm commercials, he looks
are horrible.
He looks so uninterested, like a heel. Like it looks like,
to be fair, everyone's uninterested in those. The fact that here's what pisses me off the most about those State Farm commercials. The fact that last year, I can't even think of who it is, Progressive, whoever does the Baker Mayfield commercials, those are fucking fantastic. And it shows how effective they are, that I love the commercial, but can't even think of which insurance company they're for or what product. But last year, whoever did the Baker Mayfield commercial showed how good they could be. And then State Farm this year just said, no, we're going to do the same garbage with Mahomes and Rodgers we did last year that everyone fucking hates. And so, yeah, Aaron Rodgers looks bored because they're boring commercials.
The Affleck commercials are hard to watch.
I don't know that I even watch them.
It has like,
how do you see commercials if you don't watch football? That's the only time I see commercials is during football.
I'll watch the NFL Network, but I only watch the other team.
You just watch for your fantasy.
No, I watch the Vikings.
Oh, okay.
So
How'd that work for you on Sunday night?
I'm a Vikings fan.
I know. How'd that work out for you Sunday night?
Like it's supposed to be.
So you were ready for it.
Yeah. I
bet that first victory probably felt really good though.
It did feel good.
Yeah. Surprised the shit out of everyone. Like, how the fuck did they do that?
Yeah, me too. I did not bet on the Vikings. It was not, that's not who I intended. I barely watched that game. I the only time I can watch it is on my phone because I have the Verizon app. So
that's how I watch Monday night. The regular games I watch, we just bought an antenna because we cut cord, cut cable, don't have any, but it's still broadcast over HD on antenna. So that's how I watch that. But
the eye roll my wife gives when football's on TV, it gives her a migraine. So it's just not worth it.
My wife was fine with football until we had kids, and then suddenly injuries and concussions really started to concern her. And I'm like, our kids don't play football, but she's like, anybody doing that to themselves is like this overall mom thing for anyone's
kids. Yeah,
anyone's health or safety.
I mean, but to tie it into his wrestling, your wrestling analogy, if we start putting more and more pads on football players and thicker helmets, pretty soon it's just going to be professional wrestling with a ball. You know, like that's where it's headed.
XFL, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. The roughing the passer rules this year are, I mean, basically there is almost no sacking the quarterback anymore. You can bump into him, but 9 times out of 10, if you take a quarterback to the ground, you're getting a flag. So rules have picked up.
Man, it's funny because when there's a Patrice O'Neal joke where he talks about playing football as a kid, and if you gave somebody a concussion, like you were proud of that.
Yeah.
Like you were like, yo, that's because your mama shouldn't let you come out and play with the adults, son. You know what I mean? Like the guy's laying on the ground getting carried off in a stretcher, and people are making fun of him. And
yeah.
Well, do you remember when we were kids what they used to say about football players that got carted up there? They said, well, he really got his bell rung, but that was it. They didn't say, holy shit, he's like if someone pulled a Theismann and you saw the leg go back the other way, okay, that hurt. But if he got dinged, and knocked out, they're like, whoa, look at that. That was a good hit. It was literally a good hit if you took someone out of the game without breaking an appendage.
They also called PTSD shell shock.
Yes.
So,
it was like a funny term.
Right.
It's like, oh, he's a little goofy.
Well, let's tie this into what we've been talking about because Barrett doesn't follow football at all. How aware are you with what happened with Antonio Brown on Sunday?
I don't even know how many home runs were in a touchdown.
Okay. So Antonio Brown is a very, I guess, controversial player. He throws tantrums. Did he sit an entire season out while he was waiting to get traded from the Steelers? I forget. I know there's a big kerfuffle when he wanted off the Steelers. So then he went to Oakland and never played a game. He went through preseason, but was always being demanding. He's a diva. He's the Mariah Carey of football. And on Sunday, he got into it with the coaches on the sideline. What's that?
Sorry, you said Mariah Carey football, so he only plays at Christmas. Sorry. I can't.
That's a fucking good line. I like that a lot. So on Sunday, he got into it with his coaches and quit. You've never seen a football player quit in the middle of a game, but he literally on the sidelines took off his jersey, took off his shirt, threw it into the stands, went into the end zone. The teams are on the field getting ready for a play, and he goes into the end zone, does some jumping jacks, waves to everybody shirtless, and then runs down the tunnel. And everybody, and here's why I'm bringing it up in relation to what we are talking about, personal hypocrisies. Most of social media is saying, oh my God, that did not look like an arrogant football player. That looked like someone having a manic episode. He needs help. That sounds like a mental illness. I hope and in the post-game interview, Tom Brady said it. He said, I hope he gets the help he needs. But my point is, social media went nuts saying everybody can make fun of Antonio Brown if they want. I don't think that's fair. He needs help. And relating that to personal hypocrisy, I can almost guarantee that at least 90% of the people who said Antonio Brown needs help after watching that are the same people that would take someone that is bipolar and alcoholic and gets caught at his worst moment in life because of his untreated bipolar disease, and who had just the shittiest upbringing, not shittiest, but had an insane father. So someone has an insane father, they're bipolar and they're alcoholic. And the same people that say, oh my God, Antonio Brown needs help would say, Mel Gibson, fuck him. Why does he work in Hollywood? Fuck Mel Gibson. He's an asshole. It's like, isn't it the same thing? Mel Gibson had a manic episode when he was drunk. Oh, he's anti-Semitic. He said horrible things. I don't forgive anything he said, but look at the root of the problem. And I find it interesting that people will say, oh, mental illness is something we should talk about, just not when it involves Mel Gibson. And you hear that all the time.
Gibson, I mean, I think it's partially Mel Gibson, but I think it was really who he was talking about. Like, there's just, there's certain communities you're not allowed to talk about. You just can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's no saving for that. You know what I mean?
I also,
and he just,
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. There is like the untouchables, right? Not even untouchable, but like, it's like, hey man, it's always like punching up or punching down, right? It's kind of the thing, right?
Yeah.
And so like, anyway, I agree with you, is what I'm saying, Barrett. But what I'm also curious about is timing, because we've had a cultural shift in the way we talk about mental health, right? And so I remember the Mel Gibson thing. That was 10 years ago,
probably, or maybe even more at this point.
Okay, this podcast is probably sponsored by BetterHelp now. You know what I mean? Like,
well, like, not to interrupt, I apologize, but what I'm saying is, I get how we responded back then, but I would wish that we would say, oh, looking back, he was having a manic, but nobody does that. People today still say to Mel.
Yeah. I think he was also a storied prick before that.
So they were just waiting for something to jump on him for.
I don't know. I've never hung out with him, but like,
you hear nothing but good stories up until that moment. People said he was fun. He was,
the director, producer, top man in Hollywood, got some good reviews.
Well, and again, I'm starting to sound like a Mel Gibson apologist.
Playing devil. Okay, I don't care. I don't have a dog in this fight. I hate
it. Neither do I. But I'm just like, so Chris Noth, when he was accused of sexual misconduct last week, the floodgates opened. Suddenly there were 5 women. And I think there's more now. Like when Bill Cosby, the floodgates open. With Mel Gibson, the floodgates never opened. It was, wow, he did that thing on PCH and he made that phone call to his girlfriend, but it wasn't everybody he ever worked with going, yeah, when I was on set with him, he like that never happened. So I find that, and I never thought of it until right now, until you said he was jokingly a prick. I never realized, but yeah, no one ever.
I don't know. But I remember hearing like he was hard on people, right? Like I know the whipping scene, like I just know a lot about the Passion of the Christ because my podcast talks about it way too much. And so my podcast partner went to seminary like 2 years after that movie came out. So like we talk about it way too much. But anyway, the whipping scene, he made him do like so many times, stuff like that. There's just like this, kind of Stanley Kubrick.
I was just going to reference Stanley, but I was going to wait.
Esque like hard on people kind of thing. But that doesn't mean you're racist. I've said super racist things in heat of moments. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so behind the wheel of my car. I'm racist against white people when I'm driving, because you're driving. Well, let's wrap this in, since Passion of the Christ well. I find it interesting, personal hypocrisies, that when Martin Scorsese's Willem Dafoe movie came out, what was that called? Was that called No, that was Passion of the Christ. Wait, were they both? Did they both have passion in them?
I don't know anything about Scorsese doing a Christ film.
Yeah, with Willem Dafoe when it came out. So Scorsese's film was about Christ's internal struggle in the Garden of Gethsemane, where it was where it, like, Father, I don't want to be crucified. I'm in pain. This is frightening. And people wigged the fuck out. They're like, how dare you say that Jesus did anything but go to the cross? Like, hey, everybody, crucify me. I'm dying for your sins. Yay. Whereas when Gibson creates his torture porn, everybody said, yes, you have to see this. This is the most important film of all time. And I found that hypocrisy interesting in the sense that they seem to be really the people that love the Passion of the Christ seem to like have a hard on for torture. The idea that you have to understand what Christ did for us. You have to see him suffer, but you can't imagine him as a human with internal conflict or thoughts or fear. And again, the idea that Jesus can't be presented as a well-rounded human being. He just has to be like,
those same people shouldn't meet the members of Motley Crue.
I have to look up Scorsese's film now.
Because like you don't want to meet your heroes, right?
Right.
You don't want to meet your heroes. That's I mean it's a good thought, right?
The Last Temptation of Christ. That was the Scorsese film. The Last Temptation of Christ. The Peter Gabriel soundtrack album was Passion. That's why I threw Passion in the title of the movie.
Sure.
But yeah. Yeah, and you don't want to meet your heroes because I'm not sure what I'd say to Aaron Rodgers at this point. Like, hey,
is it weird to have your hero be younger than you?
No, because I'm just old as dirt. So, everybody's younger than me at this point. I don't know if I have heroes anymore, because back in the day, it probably would have been Sting and Peter Gabriel. And I'm not saying they're not now, but I'm saying that I'm old enough to where I look at everybody as human. Like
You're talking about the Police or the wrestler?
Both. But yeah, I don't elevate people anymore. That's why I was able to look at Rodgers and say, all right, dumb fuck, fine, you're still a great quarterback. Like, I used to elevate people, and it didn't get me anywhere. And so now I just look at people for what they are. Oh, really talented at this and flawed in other areas, just like I am full of flaws. So I try and recognize that about others. And I probably fail a lot, but I try.
Well, do you think that you recognize that as a young person? And I ask.
No, as a young person, I was just angry because that's what young people are. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like I feel like what I'm encountering a lot these days is an acute awareness of one's own problems, but a real lack of awareness about the fact that it's your responsibility, right? Like the differentiation between fault and responsibility. A lot of the shit that happens to you isn't your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? And I've been seeing that a lot recently, and just seeing the fact that, like, again, I never know how to put these things in ways that
We're going to race.
It's not even race. It's not nice. You know what I mean? Like, but if we're talking about, but when I was a young person, it would have been hard to convince me that my problems were one of my own doing, definitely, and two, something that I could solve, right? Like all of my problems were caused because other people wouldn't stop doing something rather than I needed to start doing something to solve these problems,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And that has shifted. Like at a certain point, I did understand my humanness and that I'm just flawed and so is everybody else, and that's okay, and that the best we can do is the best we can do, and that's it, right? That's kind of how it goes, right?
Yeah.
And when you get to that point that you really do start to forgive other people, like, right, like you forgiving Aaron Rodgers, like 10 years ago, could you have done that? Or 20 years ago, could you have done that? I mean, you'd have only been 5, but still.
I'm actually a hypocrite because I didn't really start liking the Packers until Brett Favre was gone, because I always knew he was a douchebag. And so when he started texting dick pics to reporters and or being very vocal about his support for Trump, I was like, this is the guy I always knew he was. And he's finally, exposing it to the world. Pun accidental. And so I still have issues with him because he always played the, well, shucks, I'm just a country boy from Mississippi role, but was also quietly evil. Like, oh, shucks, I'm just a family man. Hey, click, here's my dick. Like and so I'm a hypocrite in that I find ways.
$1 billion a year.
Yeah. Right. And so yeah, I'm still a hypocrite in that I've never, I don't want to say forgiven him, because I was just always like, you're a fucking hypocrite. At least if you're going to be a dick pic sending, douchebag that cheats on your wife, allegedly, which there are lots of stories. Anyway, just be that. Like Antonio Brown has been very vocal about being a douchebag. Like he was on camera tons of times being an asshole. So when he blew up on the sideline, took off his jersey and threw it, I was just like, oh, Antonio's being Antonio, which is why it was interesting to see people like, oh my God, he needs help. It's kind of in character for him. So that's, I guess, if anything, maybe, yeah, hypocrisy is where I maybe draw the line. At least Aaron Rodgers is vocal. Like, yeah, I don't like vaccinations. I, read shitty self-help books disguised as bad fiction. I don't know.
Check out some L. Ron Hubbard books. Those are the best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Yeah, I mean, this does come back to the Mel Gibson point. Like, I think you're right. Like, we're very bad at forgiving in this country. Like we're very bad at forgiving people. Like, if they forgive you right away, then they'll just let it go, right? Like the Bill Cosby thing, the stuff came out, but it kind of just went away. And it came out again, and it kind of went away. And then it kind of stuck. Like a bunch of
it came out,
later,
it went away, it came out, it went away. And then what, 10, 15 years later, then Hannibal Buress, but it right, like simmered. It went.
It was a minute though. Like, know, and even the R. Kelly thing, like he got away with that for a hot minute. Like he was like, people were like, he was peeing on them girls, and they were like, oh my God, he peed on a bunch of 15-year-old girls. And people's response was, well, they could have moved. They didn't, they knew. He asked them, he told them. And I was like, you do know they're 15.
And in R. Kelly's dressing room.
Right. Like that's the issue. Whether he pees on consenting adults is their business. But like they're children. Yeah. And they're not, like, the law says that they're not capable. That's not consent.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a real thing. And he put out that dope ass album, and everybody went, whatever. So and just went to the club. Shit was ridiculous.
There's like there's a band, there's like a punk rock band. They're like emo punk. It's like Behind the Veil, or anyway, there was like allegations of like these 14, 15-year-old girls on the tour bus with their moms, like doing terrible things with these 29, 30-year-old musicians, right? And it all came out recently, right? So they're kind of on whatever. So they are on tour, and they stop in Sioux Falls. I work at a guitar store. A lot of my coworkers run tech for like venues, and so they're telling me the next day they have like a purity guard at their bus. Like anywhere fans could interact with these people, there is like a dude, like this big muscular dude that's just like, no one gets in, no one gets out. Like there's no way
everything takes place in the parking lot in full view of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that being said, with all that happening, there are still 100 women with their mothers that are underage outside waiting for them to come to the tour bus. Like
insane. I was listening to a podcast with I can't say his name, Joe Pantoliano, Joey Pants, the actor. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
He was in The Matrix. He was in Sopranos. He was in, I think,
Okay.
Yep.
Joey.
I know what you're talking about.
In The Sopranos, apparently, which I've never seen, not for any other reason than just I've never seen it. But apparently, he in the interview in the podcast, he said that he started getting letters from women after the episode aired where he beat the shit out of a woman. So his character beat the shit out of a woman, and then women started writing to him like, "Hey," and I'm like, "Who are you people?"
Maybe that might be some primal shit though.
There's a
You know what I
dating
mean?
there's a
Like,
dating website for women seeking men in prison.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
that. I mean, I can't think of his name, and that's a good thing. The Stoneman Douglas shooter, they said like he was in prison a week and started getting messages from men and women. Hey, I mean, just like, what the fuck is wrong with Charlie Manson? Got married in prison, didn't he?
You up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
amazing. I
Um,
can't,
had a thought, then I lost it. Dealt with forgiveness. Yeah.
As a person that's benefited from forgiveness, I am saddened by the lack of it in our society. Right? Like,
You want to
I've
share
had-
your story, or you want to just
yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
no,
leave it
absolutely.
vague?
I'm a recovering drug addict.
Okay.
And so I haven't had drugs in 12 years. So I still occasionally partake in a little whiskey, but whatever. I haven't done drugs, which was my real issue. And so I betrayed a lot of people's trust. I never really stole, but I lied and swindled and all that kind of stuff. And my parents specifically, who putting me through college, and I'm blowing it up my nose and
Yeah.
down my gut and whatever I can put in my body, picked me up. Like, picked me up from college, so let's go home. I got a second lease on life, and my life's great. I have a great life now, but only because I was able to get up on my feet. I had a platform to stand back up on because of their forgiveness. I didn't talk to them for 3 months, and I love my parents. We've always had a good relationship, and just 3 months for a whole summer, they couldn't talk to me. And so, and then I called them August 8th, 2008. I said, "Hey, I'm in trouble. I need help." So then they're right there. Right. So I'm a big proponent of forgiveness, that people change.
That's fantastic. But it also makes me think that on a societal level, when we're talking about lack of forgiveness, not only is it a lack of forgiveness, but we seem to have this idea of not only don't forgive, but you stay down there. Like, if we kick you down, then you stay down. And again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but it just popped into my head. There was an article 2 weeks ago from the guy that used to be on Sports Night, actor, who wrote an article on why is Mel Gibson still allowed to work. And it's like, because if you know anything about him, you know that he, went and apologized to Jewish leaders and did listening sessions, and it's like he put in the effort to be a better person. That's why. But the idea is, you did this thing, we've kicked you out of Hollywood, stay the fuck out. I mean, there's a lack of forgiveness, and
People grow,
and that's the thing. Yeah, we seem to not want to allow people to grow.
Well, you're just gonna discount the rest of Radiohead's catalog because you only liked Creep? People grow.
Actually, High and Dry is better than Creep, and most of Radiohead I do not appreciate. I find it not listenable.
The Beatles, how's that?
Oh, they're good.
Right? You only want help stuff, you don't get
Yeah.
My Guitar Gently Weep. What?
It's funny. I like the Beatles, but don't own anything by them. I was never a Beatles fan. I was always if they're on the radio, I won't change the station. I don't know why.
I think I have a whole book of how to play Beatles on guitar right over here somewhere. But
that's awesome.
I don't know how to play any of the Beatles on guitar, but I
You,
have a
you
book.
could get him. You could get him the Paul McCartney bass lines book. He could use
I
that.
refuse to call him Paul McCartney. He is Billy Shears and will always be Billy Shears.
Who?
Do you know this? Have you
No, I
heard
don't
this?
know. Is this like a Bono the Edge Sting thing? Is Paul have a
So-
different name, or
so
is
Paul
this Paul is
McCartney-
dead?
Paul is dead,
Okay,
replaced by the man Billy Shears.
got you.
It pisses everyone off when they think I love believing that. I know there's very little proof.
Right.
Very little, like
As in
like a lot of
none.
moving parts. And wow, but I still believe it wholeheartedly. I know it's wrong. And it pisses off my wife. It pisses off my wife's family, who are huge Beatle fans. And they'll be like, "Well, I went and saw Paul McCartney." I was like, "Oh, how was Billy?" And
Is that why you do it? Is that why you believe it? Just the
a little bit of that, but I also like the idea of an entire country thinking that the world would go into disarray unless this pop star is still alive.
yeah.
I think I like to think of like MI6 going around to different MI6 agents with a picture of Paul McCartney, right? And being like, "We could get you there. You know, how's your falsetto? Yeah,
Are you left-handed?
Yeah. Can you play the bass? No, all right, that's fine, right? Like it's,
That's fine. Most bass players can't either.
yeah,
exactly.
It's. I really love the idea of that, and I really love the idea that Taylor Hawkins of the Foo Fighters is actually Kurt Cobain.
That one I have not heard.
Because I came up with it.
Oh,
It's not. I have
Barrett,
no
you can put your light back up because now you're all shadow.
Let me see if I can do it without getting up. I was trying to not get up, but I think
Oh.
I can. I think I can work it out.
There's not a lot of conspiracy theories, I believe. I'm a pretty big skeptic, but I hold on to the Billy Shears one because I really love the lore.
I
You know,
mean,
it's like, yeah, I know there's no proof.
well, it's like I said 10 minutes ago. I just created it in my own head. Aaron Rodgers is trolling people. He said, I've already pissed off this huge segment of society. What can I do to bamboo shoots under the fingernails? Ooh,
It's
Atlas
way
shrugged.
more fun. It's
Yeah.
way more fun.
yeah.
It's way more fun to live that way. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about.
You guys are funny.
Well,
If this podcasting thing doesn't work out, you guys should get into comedy.
yeah, that's a whole other can of worms. as they would
Is
say.
this where I plug my stuff now?
Yeah, we can start wrapping it up. What time is it? We've only been going 40 minutes,
Yeah.
but
I don't.
Well, you
need-
know,
I was-
the wrap up always takes 10 minutes anyway.
okay. Well, is there anything we weaved and bobbed and went back and we hit sort
I
of a
have a
natural breaking point? Is
You said you're a musician. What do you play?
Yes. I'm a bass player. I play guitar a lot these days. Doing a lot of slide guitar.
Ooh.
and when I met
days,
he was a drummer, so
but I
he
was a
bounces
drummer.
around.
Yeah, I have commitment issues.
Yeah.
So
You sound like
yeah, yeah. I was a working drummer, then I was a working bass player. Now I doubled for a minute. Now I'm a working guitar player, bass player. Really,
Cool.
is what I do.
So
How
it's
about
like
you?
Dave Grohl without the
What kind of-
fame, money, and
Exactly.
What kind of music?
Mostly kind of roots and bluesy rock stuff these
I
days.
suppose you're playing slide, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
so, Yeah. How
I
about what do
learned-
you do?
I'm a white guy with a guitar.
Okay.
I play a lot of 5 chords. You
do you
know,
write any songs about how Hillary's bad at blowjobs? Because I mean,
There's a whole market for that.
yeah,
we're all looking for that.
I'm in the
spark-
state where all of those albums are bought. Yeah.
That'd be famous.
That guy's platinum. I mean, it's
Mhm.
no, there's not enough people in South Dakota to make a platinum album.
I was going to say, is that like Canadian gold, where it's 1/10 the records?
no, I don't play anything. well.
Okay.
I play guitar a little bit. I can play a little bass. I'm
Mhm.
really good on electronic drums.
Okay.
But then you get me on a real drum set, and it's like, oh, you actually have to hit these the same way every time. Um, I can play Lean on Me on piano.
Mhm.
So
All
like
right.
I can do enough to work at a
Right.
guitar store in any department,
Okay.
but
Sure.
not enough to actually be a musician.
Right. That's funny.
Like I don't have any practice or dedication or
Right.
real music theory. I went into college as
Right.
a singing major, and
Mhm.
then realized I really like cigarettes. And so
I was,
kept
I
my
was going to
I
say
kept my
something, but you caught me with that one. That was fucking funny.
I kept
Um,
I kept my scholarship, but I didn't get into the good choir. You know,
you said you're good enough to work at a music store, but not good enough to be a musician, guitar. Is that a matter of knowing your limitations or not believing in yourself enough?
I think not believing in my limitations.
Hmm.
No, I think it's a little bit of both. I am getting better. I've been playing a lot more. I just got my first electric guitar in right after I got clean. I pawned a bunch of stuff to pay rent. And so I hadn't had an electric guitar in a while. And so I just got these. These are the Waza Air headphones
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
they're super cool. And then I just got a Fender Mexican Telecaster
Mhm.
Franken Nashville.
Mhm.
So like it's nothing stock on it. It was returned
Mhm.
to our guitar store. When it was bought, it was a Nashville Telly with a maple neck, and somebody stole the maple neck and put a rosewood neck on it and then returned it. So I changed the pickups. I added a Gilmore mod and a
Mhm.
series parallel option. Sorry if this is all mumbo jumbo, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mhm.
No,
Okay.
Barrett and I met at the Berklee College of Music. I'm a former bass player.
He
Really?
used to be, yeah.
We were roommates
Mhm.
I had no idea, Nate.
in Boston, Massachusetts.
That's awesome.
Well, and when I made the joke
Yeah.
about knowing your limitations, I think about that not often, but I was in a band in my 20s, and we, I mean, I listen back, I'm like,
Tell him the
there,
name. Being a Passion of Christ guy, he'll dig
yeah,
it.
um, there was potential there that I believe there was potential.
What was the name?
Mhm.
What was the name of the band?
Gethsemane. It's a long, horrible story.
Yeah.
It's we couldn't agree on a name, so we picked the worst fucking unspellable, unpronounceable, and
Yeah,
then
like
because it's
Yeah. This must
biblical,
have been
people thought we
before
were
Google.
Christian. Yeah,
hilarious.
but part of the problem was when the band broke up. Joe's Garage. Anyway, I took a long, hard look in the mirror and said, I'm not a bad bass player. We were good as a unit. I'm no Sting. Like I could write songs like Bon Jovi, but could I then meet Peter Gabriel and go, I'm a musician too. This is mine. Whoa, we're halfway there. Like, I don't know how Bon Jovi does it. Like he has either incredible self-conscious or just he's aware enough to go, yeah, I suck, but I don't care. But when I became a comedian, even when I sucked, I had in me like, okay, but even if I meet, like Jerry Seinfeld, I'd feel comfortable saying I'm a comedian too. And I didn't have that as a musician. So
Mhm.
like again, awareness of limitation or adding pressure on myself, like because I believe I'm not good enough, therefore I'm not good enough. I don't know.
Hmm.
God, I tried to mute my sneeze earlier and I didn't, and then I muted after, and now I'm going to start sniffling because the sneeze has let the mucus flow.
I know I'm not a musician because I don't practice. Like I have no interest in playing or learning a song. I just like to play. Like
Yeah.
I don't have
Isn't
any.
that what a musician is though? You don't have to learn songs, but if you just love playing, isn't that like the part in your soul that needs fed?
So I would argue, I would make the counter argument, is a person that's done 2 open mics a comedian,
Okay, fair enough.
right? So
they tend to think they are.
exactly. And I have enough wherewithal, and I'm around enough actual musicians who I feel it would be an insult to call myself one. Right. I give no actual blood, sweat, tears, work towards that craft. Now, perfecting podcast recording and live albums. I record Josh Alton's album, which will never come out. Love him to death. And
I didn't even know we had recorded one.
yeah, we recorded one at Felix and Oscars, which was fantastic.
Nice.
So I do like a little bit of recording, and I have.
What do you charge?
Too much or too little? I don't know.
I'm close to my next album, and I've always done it myself. But if you can make it sound nice,
yeah, let's talk over it. It's mainly my business partner who does a lot of the stuff. I'm just kind of in the background. But
all right, well,
but yeah, like I love that. I love gear. I'm a gear head, right? I'm a sneaker head. I'm a dead head. I like all these things, but I don't. I can't. I'm not committed or try to put in the work to make myself like irrelevant in that field, but I don't want to. I don't have the drive or the passion for that particular field. I love it.
But and so then that begs the question, are you happy where you are? Because there are two ways of going about that. There's the one like, I'll never be a musician. And you're like, you know what? I'm happy where I am. I
don't need it. No. I mean, I'm thinking about, I would love to sing again. I haven't sang in a long time. And so I'd like to sing again, but am I going to contribute to a band that needs, a bassist or a guitarist or a drummer or anything like that? No, I can sing, and I'm trying to learn the harmonica because I'm trying to join a blues band, and I think there's not enough 30-year-old white men singing the blues.
I'm gonna say you're right. There's a real shortage. Oddly enough, I just saw this woman on Facebook. I want to say she was Italian or maybe Spanish from Spain. Spanish,
Sure.
as we say in Trump's country, non-American.
Right, exactly. But she has a harmonica tutorial thing where she was like really killing it. She could really play like all this really great stuff. And she made it look so easy. Like harmonica, like it looks simple. It's a simple instrument, but it's not actually easy to make it sound good.
No.
Like a lot of people really suck at it. And the people who are good at it are really good at it.
And do you know what the people that are really good at it make it sound like? Like it's a simple instrument.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They really do.
I just took my dad to Willie Nelson. And they have a harmonica player that just stands up there and plays the harmonica. He doesn't talk. He doesn't have banter. They don't ever throw to him. Like they throw to him for like harmonica solos, but like it's crazy that they have him instead of a saxophone player.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's mind boggling to me. I have a hard time figuring out what key I should use. So like, I'm still very much beginning on the harmonica strange, but I bought one for my car, and if I think it's in G, I'll try to just play along with whatever song I'm listening to.
Yeah, man, that's the move. When my group comes to town, you'll have to come sit in with us. We'll do a shuffle in E. And you could actually even sing some. You come sing some stuff, play some harmonica. We'll do like Got My Mojo Working or something in E minor.
What's your band?
It's Katie Henry Band. It's a blues rock thing.
So let's segue into that. Barrett Anthar Goodwin is the musical director for the Katie Henry Band. Give your promo.
KatieHenryMusic.com. Katie Henry Music on all the socials.
Is that K-T-I-E?
Yep.
K-A-T-I-E. Yep.
And Henry, like John Henry?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And let's see, new single drops the January 14th.
And last week you said you would send me the video, and you didn't.
I could do that. I could do that today, though. And
The first single is already out, On My Way,
On
which
My
is the name
Way,
of the
which is
album,
fun.
which drops January 28th.
28th.
Release party
Album.
at the Stanhope House on the 21st, which was the
There you go.
original release date of the album, but it
Yes.
got pushed a week.
Yeah, and then we hit the road. We're on the road for a month. Not a month straight, but like,
Yeah.
for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back on Monday.
Well, now you got another hookup. You reach out to Sioux Falls, Nathan. If you can get
Yes.
anything in Milwaukee or Chicago, then you come through Iowa City. Sioux Falls is 6 hours away, and then you backtrack home. But you could
4
get
hours from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And then there's a sweet blues bar in Lincoln that does comedy on Sundays.
Which I can't get to respond to me. I've been hammering at that place about their Sunday night comedy show forever.
I'll hit them up.
Oh, cool.
Pass.
All right. Well,
Well,
aside from
because,
Katie
I
Henry,
mean-
we have antargoodwin.com, which is
Yes.
where you can find if you need bass lessons online
It's true.
or all things Barrett Antar Goodwin can be found at antargoodwin.com. If you
Will
need
you
the
teach me
musical
the-
director to come in and whip your band into shape or put a
That's
band
right.
together for you for a gig, a one-off, that's your man right there, musical director Barrett Antar Goodwin.
Would
Nathan
you-
Holtz, what's your promo?
Sorry, 1 second. Would you teach me the Fame bass line? David Bowie's Fame?
I could do that.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
I can do
You
that.
can figure that out on your own. You
But if
put your headphones on and you just
actually,
listen, then you play it.
Nathan can teach that to you. Though.
Yeah, you put
Oh,
your
yeah,
headphones.
so you're a bassist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what are you promoting, Nathan? Tell
Okay.
the world about Nathan Holtz.
So, big deal, Holyfield. Boss's Comedy Club, which I opened 4 years ago. and
Yes.
I'm no longer a part of it. They are moving to a new location. They bought this sweet building in a town just next to Sioux Falls in South Dakota.
May I interrupt you?
Yeah.
But that's fantastic because for the longest time you were just sort of part of other businesses. You were
So I'm part of them. Still, this is still the other business, right?
okay, but
So-
it's a new. So
Yeah.
the whole business is going to be new. So it will be pizza and comedy.
So no,
No,
it's the same model, right?
right. No, that's a good model. I like that model.
Yeah. So like this pizza chain bought a steakhouse and is changing it into a sports bar. Okay. And it's a legendary steakhouse. The building was built in like 1910, something like that. It's like a super cool old building. And they are moving the comedy club to an event hall in that building in South Dakota. And I will be performing, I'll be headlining that first show. And that's January 15th.
Next weekend.
I hope this comes out in time. If not,
This will come out in the next day or two, depending on how lazy I am. We record on Tuesday, and either Wednesday or Thursday it drops.
Sweet. So that's, please come to that. If you don't, no worries. But the big thing that I have to promote and I have to talk about is we have a comedy festival called the Snow Jam Comedy Festival, which I became president last year. I co-founded it with Dan Bublitz and Timmy Williams, who are fantastic gentlemen. But we've added new people to the producing ship. We are a fundraising festival. So
I was just going to say, let me interrupt you. I was going to say, I know of this festival. I've never performed, but you guys are not a, hey, give us all your money comics and thanks. You are a, hey, let's raise money and you give it to a fantastic cause.
So this is our 6th year. I've never received a dime for producing this festival. Like no one in the whole board has ever made money off of this. What we do is we take every dollar raised that doesn't cost us to, like advertising and all that kind of stuff, right? But every dollar that is after what we've had to pay for it goes straight to the Special Olympics of South Dakota.
Yeah.
And so this year's new because we're actually a 501c3. So we're actually our own nonprofit, which is a big deal. It's not really like a big deal for like you as a person who's going to come watch the show, but it is a big deal for us as an organization where we can do a lot more and raise more for this great organization, Special Olympics South Dakota.
And to interrupt again, I apologize. Eric Trump, if you're watching / listening, this is how you fucking do it. You don't take the money and then keep it and say you give it away.
No,
this is how you do it, you fucking charity stealing pricks.
I understand. Like I've worked for other nonprofits and I understand you need, like we don't raise as much money as other nonprofits, but we also don't pay people to raise money, right?
No,
So-
I'm saying Eric
Yeah.
took everything. Eric Trump would just,
Yeah, no. Yeah, nonprofits are anyway, we don't have to get into that. I'm trying to promote the good parts of this.
Yes.
I can't stress, and you just have to take me on my word, I guess, but I'll show you the financials, right? But like every dollar that we raise on top of what it costs to put on a festival goes straight to the Special Olympics of South Dakota. We just cut them a check at the end of the year. So what we do is we bring you 30 comics to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, the greatest place on earth at the worst time. We bring them here the third week of January, and we do 30 comics. We do 3 stand-up comedy shows that are just straight stand-up, right? Just like you tell me your funny jokes. Then we also do 3 theme shows, so they're like shows that force you to think outside the box or make comedians be a little bit more on the spot and kind of stuff like that, right? Like one was Roast Yourself, where you did your set and then 3 comedians wrote roast jokes for you to read about yourself.
I like that.
It was a phenomenal show. This year we're having like punchline punch out. So everyone in the comedianship gets a couple subjects 2 or 3 days before the show, and then they have to write jokes on that subject, and they go head to head against people in a bracket style tournament. Right. So it's punchline punch out. It's so like we have these crazy theme shows. And then a couple of years ago, we got approached by Kevin McDonald, and so we had him at the festival. We were never going to be like a headliner festival, but it went over so well, and we helped raise a lot more money. So we're trying to do that. And this year, we made a couple extra shots and got them. So this year's kind of the biggest year ever. We have Dennis Regan, Brian Regan's brother, who's very, very funny in his own right and has a bunch of TV credits and has been in the business for a long time. And then we have Mary Mack and Tim Harmston. So Mary Mack of Solar Opposites and Last Comic Standing, Tim Harmston, Dry Bar, funny comedian, tours all around the world.
But did you get Aaron Rodgers' brother from The Bachelor?
No, I didn't. No. But I mean, I don't know if you've ever heard of Dennis Regan, but he is phenomenal. He's very funny. Brian always says he's the funnier one, but he's not Brian Regan, right? But it's still close. So we're very, very excited. That's happening January 19th through the 22nd. Passes are available. Please go to Snow Jam Comedy Festival. That's snow without the W. snowjamcomedyfestival.com.
SNOJAM.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have your own website that you want to promote, or do you not have a
NathanHoltz.com and at Nathan Holtz on all social media. And then I do have a podcast where me and my gay Republican friend talk about what made us cry every week.
Now, does he live in South Dakota?
He used to.
Okay, because I was going to say he'd have to be Republican to live in South Dakota, but he's not allowed to live in South Dakota because he's gay. So it's an interesting take. He's I would say he's a Republican in recovery. Okay.
Right.
What's the name of your podcast?
It's called the Town Crier Podcast. So we literally talk about what made us cry. Him and I both love to cry. So a lot of Disney and RuPaul's Drag Race talk.
Did you see Spider-Man No Way Home?
I haven't. I have a 3-year-old. And so there's
you
not
take the 3-year-old. I took my daughter when she was, I don't know, to whatever. I don't know.
It's that the theaters are still very full, and I'm not interested in ruining everyone else's experience with my
yeah.
Right.
You just go
so it's not that I'm not selfish. I'm very selfish, but gotcha. I just saying
I got a little emotional during that. There was a moment, no spoiler, but
yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Got me. Didn't cry, but I'm like right there. I'm on the edge. You got me, Spider-Man. There was a very tender moment.
And I will cry at most State Farm commercials.
Just not the one with A-Rod and Patrick Mahomes.
Not those. No. Just any sentimental where they're trying to make you cry. They get me.
My wife cries at and I have to admit, I didn't cry, but I'm like, holy shit. The new Apple Watch commercial that's been airing on, Barrett. So it's real recordings from 911 calls. So it's not actors. It's like I'm hurt. I'm alone. I need help. And yeah, it's they're powerful. They
Did you see the Samsung commercial where they have like their Skype and then subtitles,
no.
and this deaf man gets to call his son. I'm sorry. This deaf man gets to call his son for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Gets to talk to
How many videos have you seen where they put the glasses on the baby and it sees the mom for the first time? I mean, just I'm done. The baby
dog seeing someone come home from a military leave.
Yep. And honestly, and I know this makes me a horrible person. I get more moved by the dog than the kid one.
Kids don't know, right? Dogs like realize it in
Yeah.
a weird way, right? It's just like because you don't expect them to love and care, you know what I mean? For animals, right?
Yeah.
But a kid, it's like, oh, all right, yeah, you should feel that way,
Right.
yeah.
All right.
Or is he a bad dad? You know, like like so.
Oh, you guys are funny.
Well, I have a small update.
Yes.
Yeah, Nathan, what do you got to promote?
Well, I just found out this morning that the audiobook version of We Are 100 is slowly rolling out. It is currently available on Google Play.
Nice.
And another place that I haven't heard of that I'll write down for next week. But as it slowly rolls out, it will end up on Audible and Apple Books and all the places. But Google Play is the biggest place that We Are 100, the audiobook, is available.
Awesome.
There was another review that dropped today. Today is the 4th, correct? We were recording on January 4th. The review was positive. The only thing I remember was a book blogger had just said, brilliant, was one of the brilliant take. Nathan's so the book is We Are 100. Paperback, Kindle, and hardcover are available on Amazon. And as the weeks progress, the audiobook is beginning its slow roll into society. So if you don't like reading, but you do have long commutes, you can now listen to the book as you drive or pop in earbuds and do the dishes or I wanted to make a joke, but I wasn't sure how to make it because I wanted to say pop in the earbuds and do the dishes or vacuum. And I knew that vacuuming was a joke, but I wasn't sure how to sell it without sounding stupid. Like I liked the idea of conflict between a noisy machine and, or mow the lawn. But I wanted to make the joke, but I dropped out at the last second because I wasn't sure how to sell it. But either way, go to nathantimmel.com and right there on the front will be the link to Amazon. And as the audiobook becomes available, I will start whoring the shit out of that. So there you go. Nice. Thanks for listening or watching, depending on what you did, viewer and or listener. Nathan, thank you for joining us. And anyone,
nice to meet you, man.
Anyone that signed up for my mailing list that gets the podcast email and that listens, anyone from Sioux Falls or the South Dakota area, I was just in Watertown. I had 4 or 5 people sign up. Make the drive to Sioux Falls and check out Snow Jam Comedy Festival.
So much fun, man.
All the money goes to a good cause and fun. So it's like a bonus. It's not like
the shows sell out. If that we're in our 6th year, we had to move to bigger venues this year. We've tripled our capacity. So
that's fantastic.
We have to. You guys have to come. So, or awesome. Whatever.
Hopefully, I can donate my services sometime.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, everybody. Bye.